Hi everybody, it's Tyler here at Vexros. We're checking in with the legendary 81988E. It's Extropy coming out of Shanghai, China. This team here, I just watched this match. This might be the most impressive robot I have seen here so far at Vexros. These mid-goal huggers are just so cool to watch from a match strategy standpoint and how everything comes together for it. But we're going to be taking a full dive of this robot here, talking about all the great features for it. A lot of awesome programming choices that you can learn from as well too as a team as you look at future years with your robot as well too. But game strategy, you really got to dive more in this team and see what makes it special. Plus 119 dual skills records so far as we're filming this incredible feat that we'll learn more about here on Pits and Parts. Thomas, we got to start talking about this mid-goal hugger. I just watched it in your match here. I mean, it is so cool to watch and the strategy behind it. Can you talk to me more about how your team came up with it and how you're implementing it on the field?
So this entire season, all the robots have been pretty much similar and there's no evolution since like Mall of America. So we thought about like a special mechanism maybe for Worlds that we can improve our chances of winning. So this is what we came up with. It's basically two standoff that we bent using a custom 3D printed mold. And our entire robot is designed around this because this has so many parameters that we need to consider. So first of all, our robot is 28 wide compared to our old robots, which is 27. This is because that the robot needs to go into the logo. So the standoff will be long enough to reach to block the middle goal while staying the 22 by 22 inch size limit. And because of this, we have to make some sacrifices I guess on our intake. Yeah. So since we're also doing skills, this kind of sets some parameters for us where there's like an ideal height where the second stage roller is for skills, but for matches, the roller and the flex wheel need to be high enough. So when we're in the logo, the blocks need to not touch any part of the flex wheels and the rubber band. So we won't sacrifice any points on that logo. So our mid-goal hugger, it can usually hold 4 to 5 blocks when other people are still trying to like D-square, hit it or whatever, but it will still keep the 4 blocks in there. And our logo can be like around 6 to 7 blocks. And you can also see our hook. It's the starting position is down because that our robot is 28 wide, but we still want a long enough hook for our driver to use in match play. So this will start down, and when the match starts, the hook will go up. And when we expand, it will still be in the 22 by 22 size limit.
From the mid-goal huggers themselves, what has the reaction been from either some of your teammates or your opponents, like when that comes out? Do you find that find that unexpected, that all of a sudden you guys are just dominating those mid-goals?
I guess it's a pretty unique mech and they haven't seen it. So our first match, our opponent just didn't even try to D-score it at all. So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, so they have been, I guess, maybe adapting to it a little bit. So they started trying to D-score from it, but we've been seeing pretty good results from it, that it's not being D-scored at all. So.
Yeah, and I think playoffs will kind of be that really test, right, to see if teams can figure out a way to adapt against this. I think it's pretty awesome, so I can't wait to see.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. True competitors know that every second counts. That's why Kettering University challenges you to dive in right away as a first-year student. Participating in robotics programs helps Kettering students secure a valuable co-op. Whatever your interests, Kettering gives you more space to work faster and win faster. Learn more at kettering.edu/vex.
Let's pass over to Harry, talk about some of the programming on this robot here. So Harry, we were talking before that your team made a choice to not go with odometry and are doing some different sensors with that. And then you guys are doing some awesome color sorting too. So talk to me more about it.
首先就是我们的这个颜色分解。
We noticed that at previous seasons, so for example, we have over under and also last year with high stake. Both of our generations have been using odometry, and then we've been we're really mature in whether to manipulate it and to adjustment to it. However, we realized that because of the element of a parking zone, so it heavily requires the bot to be fully over and make sure that the bottom is really smooth for us to cross it. So, and we realized that comparing to 3.25 wheels, 2.75 wheels are actually better at crossing bars because they are higher above the surface. However, we realized the problem because tracking odometry requires tracking wheels, and tracking wheels requires them to contact the ground fully and to have a certain amount of elasticity for them to pull up. So, in that purpose, we have to have a piston to use in order to utilize odometry, and because of the nature of 2.75 not touching the ground, we'll have to pull the odometry wheels higher above surface and not just to the surface without sinking into the surface. So in that case, it might be able to touch the balls within the ball path and causing a blockade, and which will interrupt our skills run. And also, the odometry wheels themselves are pretty heavy. And when we were designing our bot, we realized that if we add odometry wheels onto the bot, it will exceed the 7 kg limit. And previously, in last year, we noticed that a bot under the weight of 7 is most optimal for skills run and also not to overheat. Hence, we decided to use distance over odometry.
What was the biggest challenge in tuning your robot and iterating that tuning throughout the competition season to get your skill score so high?
我们调试最难，首先是我觉得这个就是这个颜色分解。
So we realized that a most important factor that counts into our skills run is the idea of color sorting. So at the start, we realized that there's two main sectors of bots, which is linears and also S bots. And for linears, for color sorting, it's really easy for them because they only simply need to pull down a lever to pull down, for example, an elastic band to sort out the ball. However, because we're using Snacky's design, which is the S bot, we require rollers to specifically store red and blue balls. And for that purpose, we have two optical sensors placed on the ball path directed to middle goal and the ball path directed to long goals. And those two are to make sure that when we are scoring high goal, the bottom one can read whether the ball under there is blue or red, and then sort them out through the other way. And we're going to show you how that works with the blue and red balls. So essentially, because of our sorting mechanism, we're storing the ball over here to increase our ball milling. Hence, it'll come out this way instead of just going up there. And then for now, I think we're sorting blue. So the blue will come out there and the red will stay down there and then be sorted outside.
Before we get to our next segment, we'd like to thank the following. The Robotics Education and Competition Foundation provides fantastic programs for students from elementary school all the way through college. These include VEX, aerial drone competition, online challenges, JROTC, girl-powered, scholarships, certifications, and so much more. To discover these exciting opportunities, visit recf.org and get connected.
Zion, let's talk about match strategy and how your team has gone through for it. It's been so much fun to watch your team compete on the field, and just, watching it go through. I think one of the things that was really fascinating to watch is when you are scoring on those long goals, the amount of power that you put into your blocks, where they just wind up right in the middle. It seems so well tuned to that. Can you just talk to me about how you figure out when are you going to score long goals, when are you going to use that trapper, the block, the middle goals? Walk me through how your strategy works for that.
So I think the main thing of the strategy is to use the minimum amount of blocks to secure controls, because obviously they are the majority of the points for a match. So basically what I did at the last match is to just find a gap where I got little defense pressure to score on the long goals. So you can see some of my pushbacks with the other robots. I'll just probably avoid it and just find another chance to attack. I think the one time I remember that I only shoot one block onto the long goal and it just slide right into the control zone. It is just really down to our works of Thomas, who is our Autonomous, who is our builder and who tune the machine. So, yeah, that allows us to just save a lot of time to minimize our wing play.
So when you're scoring on the long goal there, are you varying how much power goes into that, or is it a set power that you've done initially?
It's a set power. The only thing I have to control is how many blocks I'm going in. So maybe if there's a blue control, I'll just score like 2 blocks in and use wing play to de-score the blues. And if it is like an empty long goal, I'll just score 1. So it just amount of time I press the shooter. Yeah.
Looking at competition in China and then coming here at Vex Worlds, what has been the big change in your opinion on how the gameplay has been done here at Vex Worlds so far?
I mean, actually, I haven't spent a lot of time in this season. I only joined the team like a few months before Vex Worlds. So I only played 1 Chinese match. But one thing I noticed is that the US teams is much more aggressive on the wing plays. Like they tend to defend more or use their wings more, or probably goalkeeping more aggressively. Like, you know, they can find a balance between giving themselves benefits and not violating the rules. So this is one big challenge I've encountered. You know, in my first few matches, like I'm not that aggressive on wing play, so I actually often lose. So I'm actually also trying to find the feeling to go against them on long goals.
Well, it's been phenomenal to see so far. And speaking about another phenomenal thing, one thing is talk about your skills matches that you've had. 119 in both driver control and in autonomous as well too is incredible so far. Walk me through that journey and how you've been so successful in skills.
Okay, so for our skills for both driver control and autonomous, we decided, well, the first thing that we noticed when we planned our skills route is the heavy color dependency of the center goals control points. So we decided to dedicate the 6 balls in both parking zones, as well as an additional 7th ball from one of the four groups of balls in the middle into our middle and low goals. Another decision that we had to make was which side of the long goal that our robot traveled when traveling from one match order to the other. And we decided to go for make our robot travel on the outside, mainly because of the heavy randomness of what would happen if we crashed into the balls in the middle, specifically the four balls collected on the corners of the mats.
Well, overall, it's been phenomenal to watch your team here at Vex Worlds. We wish you the best of luck. There is so much I think teams can learn from the robot, from your strategy, everything that's gone into it so far. So I can't wait to see how you do here at playoffs as well, too. Thanks a lot. We wish you the best of luck here at Vex Worlds.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos.